Right. So it's earlier than usual today in the day. So I believe most of the residents don't get free so early, barring a few. So it's okay. We'll be uploading the recorded lecture as well, like usual. So let's start off with imaging in pulmonary embolism. It's an important topic for theory exams as well as your day-to-day reporting. You won't get a case on this for sure, but theory में questions बहुत आते हैं from this topic. So I'll be talking about a few recent advances as well. क्या क्या question आ सकता है? One is the diagnostic algorithm. Apart from that, you can get a question on recent advances. VQ scan पे आ सकता है. Pulmonary embolism in pregnancy, very, very important topic. So lots of questions. Acute versus chronic pulmonary embolism is a question. So इसमें से बहुत theory questions निकलते हैं. So that's why this is important topic. So the PPT also is a little theory heavy, keeping that in mind so that it's easier for you to revise for your theory exam. Don't get a lot of spotters or cases from this. The only spotter I can think of is pulmonary arterial sarcoma that they can give you. Apart from that, this is mainly theory and a lot of reporting that you have to do for these emergencies. Okay, so let's start. Brief introduction. So pulmonary embolism is a very, very common cause of death, particularly cardiovascular death. So it's the third most common cause of cardiovascular death, preceded only by aortic dissection and MI. Okay, so this is the third most common cause. Accurate and early diagnosis of this condition is essential because mortality rate is 3 to 8% if diagnosed and treated, but as high as 10% higher. So the diagnosis becomes very, very crucial, and the onus is on you, to pick it up. And that's what we'll discuss. It is not as easy as we have done it in undergrad. Keep CTPA karo aur diagnosis ban gaya. There are so many other confounding factors in CTPA that we will look at. So many mimics come into picture. So many artifacts come into picture, right? So that is what we have to be very careful for when you are reporting. DVT is the cause of 90% of pulmonary embolism. There are few rare ones like tumor emboli, air embolism, fat embolism, but those are very, very, few percentages. The main aim is to rule out DVT, which leads to pulmonary embolism. You know the clinical feature, any unexplained dyspnea, tachypnea. If there is an infarct, then there can be pleuritic chest pain, hemoptysis, but that's usually later on when there is an infarct. In acute cases, it's just unexplained dyspnea. If there's a massive embolism, you can have sudden cardiac death, collapse, or syncope. Okay, so any cause of hypotension means there's a massive pulmonary embolism that we are dealing with. And sometimes there can be chronic pulmonary embolism, PAH, and right ventricular failure, right? So this is the brief overview here. You need to know about the medicine aspect of things here because the diagnostic algorithm depends on it. So we have a likelihood score. There is one well score, which is the modified well score for DVT, and then there is a well score for pulmonary embolism. So दोनों का ही clinical score होता है. You don't really need to memorize. The only significance is that we need to ask the clinicians, is the clinical probability high or low, right? So that is what you need to basically know. Don't even have to ask your clinical colleagues. You need to just have a brief idea. And it's very, very simple. If you look at the likelihood of PE score, 3 score तो उसी का है कि DVT है या नहीं. तो if there is DVT and there is any sort of clinical feature, it's a very, very high likelihood that, it is pulmonary embolism, because look at this. Alternative diagnosis less likely and DVT. तो वैसे ही score 6 हो गया. So either ways, if your clinical suspicion of PE is high and any risk factor you add to it, it becomes a very high suspicion. So tachycardia, what are the high risk factors? Immobilization, surgery, hemoptysis, or cancer. Okay, so you know the Virchow's triad, I think. What is the Virchow? Yeah, same table. The pulmonary embolism doesn't change. How do I change tables? Okay, so basically pulmonary, what was I saying? Yeah, what is the Virchow's triad? Please just mute other participants, no, so that there's no background noise. Okay, all right. Right. So what is Virchow's triad? Somebody tell me. Endothelial injury, hypercoagulability, and stasis, right? Venous stasis. So any of these can lead to high risk factors for DVT. This is the flow chart here. So if you are suspecting DVT or pulmonary embolism, likelihood assess करा है. For DVT, if it is low, then we do D-dimer. If it is not low, imaging. Same for pulmonary embolism. If the suspicion is not high, we do D-dimer. The thing with D-dimer is it has maximum 100% sensitivity, but it's not specific at all. It is seen in so many other conditions. So it is what is used as a rule out test, right? कि अगर डी डाइमर ही नॉर्मल है, नो वे इट इज पल्मोनरी एम्बोलिज्म. डू यू गेट इट? सो इफ इट इज नॉर्मल, वी rule it out. But if it is high, it could be thousand other things. So then I go to imaging testing, or if my score is more than equal to 4, I go for testing. What is the testing? So this is another Harrison's chart. These are both Harrison tables. So the imaging testing which is needed, you all know, is a chest CT, and we are going to prefer a CT pulmonary angiogram. Okay, so if it is diagnostic, no need to do anything. If it is not diagnostic, unavailable, or unsafe for various reasons that we will talk about, either there is a contrast allergy or anaphylactic reaction ka history hai, renal failure hai, no point of doing NCCT then. Then what do we go to? Then we go to lung scan. So lung scan matlab VQ scan. So we shall be talking about ventilation perfusion scan, but that's what comes in next. So VQ scan, diagnostic है, you stop. Not diagnostic, then we go to our surrogate marker कि ठीक है और कुछ नहीं मिल रहा. DVT, we have to presume that it's pulmonary embolism. So here it is venous ultrasound. That is our last resort if both of these are not helping us. So venous ultrasound positive, presume it to be pulmonary embolism. If it's negative, we do a transesophageal echo or MR, or then last resort is catheter angiography. So we can do MR, we can do echo or angiography. So do you get it? Right now only I want to introduce what do we have different when a patient is pregnant. This is going to be my last slide, which is a lot of theory on the implication of pulmonary embolism in pregnancy. But while we are doing the diagnostic algorithm, let's get it out of the way. यहाँ पे सब कुछ उल्टा हो जाता है. पहले हमने CTPA करा, फिर VQ स्कैन करा, फिर वीनस अल्ट्रासाउंड. यहाँ पे सब उल्टा हो जाएगा because in pregnancy my first priority is let me just see whether I can diagnose it with any non-radiation modality or not. So what is my non-radiation modality? It is Doppler, right? So here the tables are turned. यहीं से शुरू कर लेते हैं because my clinical suspicion anyways is high in pregnancy. Why? Because pregnancy in itself is pro-coagulant, right? In pregnancy, you have high levels of fibrinogen. So anyways, it is high. And is there a role of D-dimer in pregnancy? No, because anyways, fibrinogen is high. So fibrin degradation products are high and D-dimer is high. So pregnancy में D-dimer करने का तो कोई point ही नहीं है. So that is out. Physiologically elevated होता है. Correct. So my first investigation in pregnancy is gonna be venous Doppler. So if there is DVT, if it is positive, I treat pulmonary embolism. I treat it as pulmonary embolism, okay? Because anyways, we have to give heparin in DVT. We have to give heparin in P. So just give heparin. So that is what you're going to do. You treat it. कुछ और नहीं करता. But if venous Doppler is negative, still it can be pulmonary embolism. Now what to do? What is my investigation with least radiation? That's chest X-ray, right? Very much acceptable. So chest X-ray हमने कर लिया. Now it will depend on how the chest X-ray looks. What do we do? So chest X-ray अगर normal है, in that case, I will do VQ scan. I want to do a VQ scan in pregnancy. The deal is if the chest X-ray is abnormal, the reliability of a VQ scan decreases markedly because then any perfusion defect I see, I don't know whether it is really because of a perfusion defect that is pulmonary embolism or it's a match defect because of ventilation problem, right? So that's why the reliability of a VQ scan decreases when the chest X-ray is abnormal. So if chest X-ray is abnormal, we have nothing left. It is clinically indicated. We got to do a CTPA. Okay. A question that you can ask me that, ma'am, is this radiation really a problem? इतना रेडिएशन तो प्रेगनेंसी में भी से ना कि 5 ग्रे तक एक्सेप्टेबल है and this is way below 5 ग्रे. Then what is the big deal? Why don't we just do CTPA like any other patient? Can somebody answer this question for me? इतना रेडिएशन से तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. हमने बोला है कि when life threatening condition है, benefit outweighs the risk. Why not just go for CTPA? So the deal is not fetal radiation. Not even contrast. Contrast is also not a problem. Fetus contrast doesn't go into transplacentally. That's not a problem. The problem is radiation to the breast. That's the real issue, because the radiation to the breast in CTP is very high, and in pregnancy, because the glandular tissue is proliferating a lot, it becomes even more susceptible. So the problem is breast radiation, really, right? So this is what perhaps gives you a new thought process. You wouldn't have thought like this, isn't it? हमें लगता था fetal radiation, fetus को तो radiation नहीं जाएगा, आप fetal guard दे दो, हमें तो chest करना है. So it's the breast radiation. So we can use a breast shield, even that is not very, very protective, right? So we do. अगर करना ही पड़ेगा, now the other option that we will do, Ritvik, is with a breast shield. Right. So that is the algorithm, right? So diagnostic algorithm clear.